Man, this has been one of the slowest UFC weeks I've seen in a minute. No drama, no headlines, not even a decent fight card to look forward to. This Saturday main event is straight up weak, like we're out here starving. But you know what? I'm still here, still locked in, and we're still gonna cook up some good content, you know what I'm saying? So let's pivot, let's talk about something that's actually interesting, upcoming matchups. And more specifically, let me give y'all some early thoughts on Khalil Rountree versus Jamal Hill. Now, this fight has been cursed like twice already, so you know how it is, third time's the charm, am I right? Hopefully no injuries, no free cancellations, and we finally get to see it go down. And let's call it what it is, neither of these guys can afford to take an L here, like straight up. This isn't one of those one guy's got everything to lose and the other's just here for the ride type of fight, you know? Nah, both Hill and Roundtree are straight up at a crossroads. One loss and it's a major step back. Momentum stalled, ranking shift, and suddenly that title conversation gets a lot quieter, you know? This is high stake for both of them. No way around it. And that's where the fight becomes so crucial for both of them, because obviously Hill is the bigger name here. He's the former champ. He had to vacate the belt, talk the talk about Pereira only to get flatlined in one round. Then came the attempt bounce back, booked twice, pulled out twice, finally gets that Jiri fight, goes to war, but walks away with another L. So yeah, if he drops one more to Khalil, people are going to start questioning if he's still a top 5 material fighter anymore. And sure, well, he only lost to Pereira and Jiri, two of the best in the division. And yeah, you're right. But if he loses again, those losses start taking a toll. The confidence fades. Doubt, it creeps in. And let's not act like Hill's some delusional dude. He knows that he got pieced up. And this time around, he has to show up. He has to lock in, because if Roundtree walks him down and makes it look easy, that's a wrap on Hill being in that contender conversation anytime soon. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about Roundtree, because people are acting like Hill's the only one with pressure here, but Khalil's got just as much, if not more, riding on this. Here's the truth. This is the fight where Roundtree has to prove that he's a legit top 5 guy. Like, no more potential, no more if he shows up on the right night, you know. Nah, this is the test. Like, let's keep it real. His best win right now is over Anthony Smith. And even though that was solid at the time, it's aging rough. Anthony has just not looked the same lately, let's be honest. Obviously, he's retired now, and that win just doesn't hold the same weight as it used to. Yeah, Khalil had a fun back and forth war with Alex Pereira too, but he still lost. So now the fans are looking at this matchup with Hill and asking, is Roundtree actually the guy? Or did he just end up here because the division's been a little thin lately? You look at his record, it's 13-6, and it's not exactly screaming title shot. He got knocked out by Johnny Walker in the first round. He lost to Ian Cutelaba and bounced back around for years. So if he fumbles this chance against Hill, it's going to be hard to keep putting him into contender spotlights. This ain't just another fight for him. This is do or die territory. A win cements him in that top 5 discussion. A loss, and people are going to start calling him a gatekeeper who just got lucky to get a title opportunity. And that's the thing, man. Both of these guys are in that weird limbo right now, like straight up awkward territory. It's the same vibe that Moicano talks about. You know, my brother, I cannot afford to fucking lose energy, you know? That's exactly what this is. Both dudes are hanging on to that contender status by a thread, and a loss here, it's gonna sting bad. But if you ask me, I think Khalil Roundtree might just sneak away with the win, like for reals. Because one of the biggest issues with Hill's style is that he tends to overextend when he's pushing forward. Like in the Jiri fight, you saw it plain as day. He got clipped by a clean 1-2 because he lunges in looking to land. But his base wasn't set and his chin was up there as high as a kite. And that's not a one-off either. It's a recurring habit. He'll step in with these long reaching punches without resetting his stance, and that leaves him wide open to get cracked down the middle or timed on the way in. Again, and against someone like Khalil Roundtree, that's a huge risk. Khalil's not just powerful, he's explosive, and more importantly, he doesn't need a lot of volume to make something count. He's got that kind of fast twitch reaction where if you step in sloppy even once, he can rip a tight hook or a knee up in the middle that flips the entire momentum of the fight. And that brings me to another area where Roundtree might have a real edge, and that's the clinch. I don't think enough people are talking about this. Khalil Rountree in the clinch is a freaking savage. Go back and watch that Carl Robertson fight. The dude destroyed him in close quarters with brutal knees, short elbows, and violent framing that gave him space to land clean shots without even needing full windups. And Hill, on the other hand, hasn't really shown much in the clinch either, offensively or defensively. He had moments where he tried a hand fight or pummel for underhooks, but it's mostly just to stall or separate. He's not someone who's comfortable in those type of exchanges in tight spaces, you know? And worse, he'll sometimes drop his hands or posture up too tall when exiting those clinch breaks, which is prime time for someone like Khalil to land something devastating on those exits. So if this fight ends up along the fence or in mid-range where neither guy has clean distance, Khalil's physicality and his Muay Thai background and his ability to strike in tight windows becomes a real problem. He doesn't just clinch to stall, he clinches to hurt you. And against someone who's not used to dealing with that level of violence in close, it can get real ugly real fast. But it's not just power or violence, it's how he delivers it lately. The big shift with Khalil isn't just his intensity, it's the movement. It's his footwork and speed have leveled up in a way we haven't really seen before. He's lighter, more fluent, cutting angles, not just standing and banging. And that's where things can tilt, because Hill, for all his skills, is a little more planted. He likes to read and counter, but if Khalil darts in and out, keeps him guessing with angles and footwork, that's a speed difference that might be the X factor that flips the whole fight. And look, let's talk about the leg factor for a second, because it might end up being one of the biggest keys in this entire whole fight. I can absolutely see Khalil Rountree landing some heavy leg kicks, especially early, especially since both guys are southpaws. That inside angle is going to be wide open, and Hill will absolutely be feeling those if he doesn't start checking or adjusting early, because Hill, he doesn't really check them. He's never has, whether it was against Santos, Pereira, or even earlier fights. He just eats a lot of them and keeps walking forward. But that adds up. That damage slows you down. It messes with your balance, your stance, and your ability to plant and throw clean shots. And if there's one thing that Roundtree doesn't lack, it's power in those freaking kicks, man. I'll tell you that. He throws them with violent intent. So if he starts targeting that lead leg and Hill isn't adjusting or switching stances, that leg's gonna get chewed up. And when that happens, the rest of Hill's game starts breaking down with it. It's not about hurting him, it's about limiting what Hill can do. If Roundtree takes that movement away, take the base out from under him, it puts Khalil in control. It forces Hill to react, and that's where Khalil's confidence really starts snowballing. Now, to be fair, it's not all dark and gloomy for Jamal Hill. I'm not saying this is some uphill battle where he's doomed, from the start. He's still got some real weapons, and if he finds his rhythm early, he can absolutely take over. Hill's biggest advantage in this fight is his boxing. The clean hands, sharp counters, and when he's flowing, he's got legit knockout power. Ask Johnny Walker. And unlike a lot of those guys in those divisions, he doesn't just wing shots, he places them. He's got that sniper energy when he's dialed in. And let's not pretend Roundtree isn't some flawless, untouchable machine either. Dudes improve a lot, but he still has those moments where he freezes up. He gets stuck waiting. He can be very explosive, but also very flat at times. You've seen it before when he's not the one that's leading the dance. Sometimes he just doesn't throw. If Hill can pressure him without rushing, starting to feint, and get Roundtree to hesitate, that's where he can capitalize. Another aspect to this is the pacing, because if Hill can turn this into a long drawn out fight, this can play into his hands. Roundtree's got that fast twitch explosiveness where he's fresh, he's dangerous. He'll come with those nasty kicks, sharp bursts, and crazy power. But we've seen over the years is that he can't sustain that for all 5 rounds. His output dips, he starts to slow down, and that's when things start getting dicey. Now flip that over to Hill, say what you want about him, but the dude is tough. He can take a beating and still keep coming. Just look at that Jiri fight, he was getting cracked with bombs and still found moments to fire back. So who's to say that doesn't happen here too? If Hill can weather that storm early, if he can absorb those big moments from Roundtree without panicking, he might be able to drag Khalil into deep waters, making it into a war of attrition. And when Khalil starts to fade, Hill's pressure, cardio, and durability could shift the momentum completely. This might be one of those fights where the guy who survived round 1 gets to take over round 2 and 3, and if that's the case, don't sleep on Hill. He's got a real shot to impose his will, if he can stay composed and doesn't let Khalil overwhelm him, early that is. So yeah, when you look at the full picture, this fight's a lot more competitive than people might think. Hill's the former champ, the more more technical boxer, and he's definitely got 5-round experience. But he's also coming off back-to-back damage, hasn't shown the great leg kick defense, and he's going to be in there with a guy who's looking to prove that he belongs here. Roundtree, he's violent, he's hungry, and if he shows up focused with that speed, with those kicks, and some of those counter timings we talked about, he can make his moments. This could be the fight that finally earns him a legit top 5 respect, like a real contender respect. Hill's tough as hell, no doubt about it. He could absolutely get this out and come out on late, if Roundtree fades, that is. But if you're asking me who I think edges out, I'm still leaning with Khalil. I think he's going to start out strong, land the heavier shots early, and either finish Hill or does enough damage to take the decision. Either way, man, this one's going to be a banger, and I can't wait.